Arcadia by Steph Lacey. Samrah lives with others like her, the troubled people, forced into hiding in the underground, the deprived fringes of the city. They move by stealth, usually under cover of darkness, always at risk of capture by surveillance teams working for the government, which is run by big business and on a mission to rid society of the drain and misery of imperfection. In episode 1, Samrah is captured while venturing into the city to source food and medical supplies for her community, and comes face to face with ruthless Sylvia, CEO of the Department of Health Economics. Samrah is faced with a terrible dilemma. Should she try to escape, or risk her life and that of her unborn child by challenging the brutal regime threatening the lives of her people?
Hi, I'm Steph Lacey. I'm a writer and an actor. I'm doing my PhD at the minute, looking at female homelessness and the effects on children's education. What else do I like to do? I'm quite a boring wench, really. So I like to swim. I've got motion animation, 5 days into that as it goes. Quite relaxing, actually. So at the beginning of lockdown, somebody got in touch with me to say that their child was really struggling to understand what lockdown actually meant. So I decided to write them a story about sort of what lockdown was and this little adventure we could have at home and all the things we could do at home. Put that online, and somebody else asked for one for their child. So it sort of snowballed in that way, really, and then I decided that that was the way that I could be useful, and if I can take just a minute to make a child or a family feel special, that's a really beautiful thing. I did 100 stories altogether and run a homework club, and that is my favourite thing in the whole wide world because they're beautiful children and they just give you so much energy. I find joy in the things that aren't meant to be funny. Like, I really, really like grumpy people. It really makes me so happy when people are just really like fed up with it all, but then you can see that there's a lightness in them, that they're really open to having a laugh after. They're my favourite, surprisingly nice grumpy people. In the future as a writer, I'd like to work. I'd like to, what I really am passionate about is showing voices that aren't listened to all the time, so particularly in terms of homelessness and disability, but bringing a lightness to that, so it's not all about lecturing people, and these are real lives as well, and there are joy in those dark times. Showing the lightness in the dark, I think, is what I'm really interested in. I also really like comedy as well. This isn't very funny, this piece, but I do like a laugh. I'm writing at the minute a comedy that's looking at the rehearsals of an adult pantomime company. That's nice, but I also really like to write for children. I think children have the most beautiful, accepting minds. It's such an incredible way to just encourage the next generation to be accepting and kind and loving, and I think children's TV does that in the best way. You know, children don't have those, they're not sceptical of things yet, which I think is a really beautiful time to be able to actually talk about some of those things. And they're just like, oh right, yeah, got it, cool. She's disabled, okay, cool, got it. With children, I'm writing a piece as well that's a children's piece about a girl who lives in a hostel going on adventures and things. Arcadia is about disabled people being forced to the edge of society by a government that's run by big business. So they're on a mission to rid society of imperfection. And in doing that, there's a whole eugenics plot against disabled people. So any disabled person that has a child or any child that registers as disabled in the womb or troubled, in this case, is an unviable pregnancy and it's gotten rid of. So it's all about who has the right to be a mother, basically, and how that oppression feeds into every aspect of your life and how you have to sort of gather together to fight that. Just think how love and hope can affect change. So if you work together, you can be the change that you want to see. But actually how that's really very difficult. When we ignore it and when we go along with the status quo, then that can lead to sort of that legitimation of problems just reproducing over and over again. So we end up with a problem bigger than we started with. In this episode, the main characters are Samrah, who is the troubled woman who's just come up from the underground, which is the deprived fringes of society, to try and get some supplies, some food and medicine for her community. Very dangerous. So she's come up and she's got caught. She's heavily pregnant, and then we sort of see her dilemma about, does she escape? Does she try and escape, but does that put her and her baby at risk, or does she stay and try and fight things? We also see Sylvia, who's the ruthless CEO of the company, who runs the Department of Health and Economics for the government. And it's all about what the world looks like when business and money means more than people. So she's very much about that. It's all about money and making money and doing right for people like her, basically. And then we also meet Kwame, who works in the Department of Health and Economics, and is lovely. Basically, it's what the future looks like for disabled people if the rampant ableism that we're experiencing at the moment continues and is allowed to flourish and is legitimated by a society that values money over people. Who has the right to be a mother?
This is Arcadia.
Scene 1. Internal. Samrah's house, the underground. Early morning. Heavily pregnant Samrah, a disabled woman, is in her bed next to her husband, Musa. The room around her is dark, dingy. There's no carpet. Their belongings are old and worn. Samrah rises gently, checks Musa's still asleep, and creeps out of bed. Scene 2. External. The underground alleyways. Early morning. Samrah, hood of her cloak up, basket in hand, nervously makes her way through alleyways, watching her back as she goes. We look across the underground, a desolate place, forgotten. There are no resources here, no street lights, piles of rubbish and rats everywhere. Most windows have been boarded up. She reaches the front door of a dilapidated house, talks to its occupant Fiona, a grateful disabled mother who hands Samrah a list of medicines. Scene 3. External. Outside chemist. Main city street. Early morning. On the clean streets of the city, buildings are cared for and maintained. Samrah's waiting at the back door of a pharmacy, lit by its neon green sign. She knocks on the door again. No answer.
Hello?
No answer. Samrah makes her way to the front of the shop. She's nervous and cautious. As soon as she steps out onto the main street, 2 security guards appear in front of her. Instantly, she's grabbed and taken away. There's terror in her eyes as her screams are muffled and her basket is dropped. Scene 4. External. Cafe, main city street. Day. Streets are lined with non-disabled people dressed in business attire at cafe tables, drinking coffee, reading newspapers. Billy, a guard in Department of Health and Economics uniform, approaches the cafe with a spring in his step. He speaks to a passing waiter.
Americano, please, Squire.
As the waiter heads inside, the smartwatch on the wrist of every person vibrates and sends them a message. Work time. Everyone starts to pack up and leave. Billy urgently calls.
Mate, that's a go, fella.
Scene 5. External, internal. Department of Health and Economics building. Day. We approach a large and imposing government building. It's sleek, cold and modern. There are Arcadia logos displayed prominently on signs on the walls with the Department of Health and Economics written below. Many people are entering on their way to work. We move inside and see signs, all with the Arcadia logo and arrows that point to medical suite, conference centre and interview suite. There is heavy surveillance everywhere. Scene 6. Internal. Department of Health and Economics waiting room. Day. Samrah's shoulder is being held tightly by Billy in the hostile waiting room. He stands right behind her. Samrah scans the rows of plastic chairs filled with other pregnant disabled women. Samrah notices a glass meeting room in front of her. There's no one inside, but the room is set up for an interrogation. As she leans forward, Billy's grip tightens.
Stay.
Scene 7. Internal. Sylvia's house. Day. Sylvia, an immaculately put together businesswoman, is bathing in the fanciest bathtub ever in her ensuite, dripping in bubbles with petals scattered around. We hear a rustling noise coming through from her bedroom. Jed, Sylvia's pyjama-clad husband, walks in with a mimosa for Sylvia, kisses her head, and goes to trim his beard.
Is she going through my bags again? Grace, not the Birkin! She'll be the death of me.
That or the water log you're pruning up there. Not working.
Thinking about it. You coming to the press lunch?
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Scene 8. Internal. Department of Health and Economics waiting room. Day. Samrah's watching a meeting now happening in the glass room in front of her. A couple are sitting opposite representative. The interrogation is underway. Scene 9. Internal. Department of Health and Economics meeting room. Day. HOH pregnant woman is hard of hearing. Partner is deaf. Facts they're both working hard to conceal.
Look, there's been a mistake here.
We're here to ensure all is right.
I'm glad to get this sorted. You've noted I can hear you.
Scene 10. Internal. Department of Health and Economics waiting room. Day. Samrah looks around the room. She spots another disabled pregnant woman behind her who's clearly been drugged. The woman, angry, tries to stand, but is forced down by a nearby guard. They struggle to control her. Representative runs out to assist. They sedate her. Samrah's increasingly anxious. She glances at the glass room and sees the couple sat alone. They are communicating in BSL, small signs they try to hide. Representative walks past Samrah on the way back to the room. He looks in her eyes. It steals her breath. She watches him enter the glass room. He tries hard not to make a noise opening the door and stands behind the couple.
Okay, you're free to go.
Hard of hearing pregnant woman turns around, but hasn't quite heard. Partner doesn't notice him enter. Samrah watches representative turn to a colleague outside the room and give a sly smile. Caught. Scene 11. Internal. Department of Health and Economics waiting room. Day. Samrah watches as hard of hearing pregnant woman is dragged out of the waiting room with an electric device strapped to her belly while she furiously signs to partner. Other workers, in their bid to keep them separate, are distracted. She looks to Samrah, pleading with her. Samrah averts her gaze, powerless. Billy drags Samrah by the arm towards the glass room. As he does, his smartwatch rings out. His avatar dances on the screen and reads, "Congrats, 80-hour work week reached." Delighted, Billy lets go of Samrah's arm to punch the air, celebrate and brag to colleagues.
80 hours reach, mate. Guess I'll be up for a promotion. What you want? 50? You lazy bastard.
Samrah looks around the room, sees a worker entering through a door and takes the opportunity of his release to run. It takes Billy a moment to notice. He's then furious, stressed, and grunts as he runs, trying to find where she went. Scene 12. Internal. Department of Health and Economics corridors. Day. Samrah is running down the bleak white corridors, breathing heavily. She sees two signs, one for a medical centre and one for changing rooms. Scene 13. Internal. Department of Health and Economics. Changing rooms. Day. Samrah paces inside a cubicle, panicking. She hears a shower begin to flow and peeks out from the cubicle, all clear. She sees women's clothes and a security pass on a bench. She picks up the security card and drops it. She struggles and can't pick it up. She hears the shower stop, so panics, leaves it and quickly puts on the coat. Scene 14. Internal. Department of Health and Economics corridors. Day. Billy's running through corridors, sweating. He passes a press lunch guest, and as he does, slows down. pretending he is not panicked, nods. He runs once she's gone. Samrah catches a glimpse of this from afar and darts into the nearest cupboard. Scene 15, internal, Department of Health and Economics, Sylvia's office. Day. Sylvia stands in her large modern office behind a grand desk, consulting Camille, her long-serving lawyer.
Now, can we see any legal issues with the speech?
I could do with the rejig on the terminology, but legally I'd say we're sound.
I need you on this, Cam. They're fucking hammering us.
Sylvia, clearly stressed, slides a tablet to Camille with a blog displayed. It reads, Department of Health and Economics. The figures aren't as healthy as they'd have us believe.
Any word on where the leak is coming from?
Nothing yet. It's our top priority. We're trying to keep things tight.
Try harder. I want eyes, ears, and whatever other fucking orifice you have open on it today, Camille. Clear?
Scene 16, internal, Department of Health and Economics, back corridors. Day. Samrah's hiding in a cupboard, presses her ear to the door as she hears a group of people talking as they pass. She cracks the door open and sees 7 people dressed in chef's whites. We pick up Kwame, late 20s with kind eyes. He keeps his head down, not drawing attention. Samrah cannot see him. She sees a caterer hand another member of the group a bin bag.
Yeah, stick this outside, mate.
We see outside land with Samrah. She cautiously leaves the cupboard and joins the back of the group. The caterer with the bin bag opens a door and walks outside. Samrah follows him, head down. We follow them outside. Samrah, hanging back, looks around. Fences everywhere. There's no way out. She takes a moment before she notices the caterer is headed back inside. She runs to catch the door before it shuts behind him. We follow her back inside as she trails behind the group. They walk past a dining hall that's being set up for an event. Large corporate banners for Arcadia welcome press and industry guests to the lunch. Scene 17, internal, Fiona's house, day. In the underground, Lily, Fiona's daughter, is crying in agony. Fiona is stroking her head, trying to comfort her.
Okay, Samrah will be back soon, baby.
Scene 18, internal, Department of Health and Economics dining hall. Day. Lunch guests are at their tables. Caterers collect dirty plates while Kwame pours them wine. He scans the room, sees Cleo, a self-assured journalist, get out her dictaphone. Kwame moves to Grace's table, tries to fill her glass, but she waves it away. He looks back to Cleo, who makes light chit-chat with the other journalists. She's otherwise alone. Scene 19, internal, catering kitchen, day. Samrah hides in the kitchen and peeks out nervously from behind stacked produce. Kwame spots her. We see recognition on his face. It confuses and frightens him, but he covers and goes to her without drawing attention. He grabs her by the arm. She flinches, terrified, before recognizing him. They speak in hushed tones.
Samrah, what the hell are you doing here, man?
Samrah, exhausted, almost falls into his arms.
Stop. Do you know what they'll do if they catch you here?
Kwame, this is where you work.
Yeah, not for long, if you don't get out of here. You can't give me away, Sam.
How do you do it? You're so brave. They got me, Kwame. This morning. They're looking for me. Please help me.
Samrah holds her stomach.
Shit, man. Security's eye, they're not messing about. There's no way you're going to get out of here. Fuck.
Kwame breaks away from her for a moment, speaks to a colleague.
Cover me for a sec, bud. I'm going for the piss.
Scene 20, internal, dining hall, day. Sylvia is on the stage. Her captive audience are applauding.
Thank you. But without you, I would not be able to make this announcement today. For the first time in history, this week marks the first week that no live troubled births have been recorded.
There's a sense of shock, and delighted applause in the audience. Scene 21, internal, Department of Health and Economics, food cellar, day. Kwame leads Samrah by the wrist through dark, dank corridors. He indicates towards the potato rumbling room. It's wet and smelly.
Up there is where he dropped the potatoes down. If you get up there, it takes you onto the street level. Samrah.
Thank you, Kwame. I'm fine.
He looks unsure, torn. Samrah is also terrified, but jokes to reassure Kwame by pretending to have big muscles.
Go. I'm fine. Look at these muscles. Look at go.
Be careful then, yeah? I don't want to see you headlining the Rebel newspapers tomorrow.
What do you mean?
Well, the lads are saying someone's coming that's reporting leaked stuff from the department. There's people on our side. They're all on edge, man.
Someone's talking about us. How? Who? That's impossible.
Yeah, can't be easy. I don't know who. They're going to be poking their heads above the parapet, aren't they? Bigger the bullshit, bigger the ball ache.
Kwame hears caterers calling from the kitchen. He panics and needs to get back now.
Shit. Good luck, Sam, yeah?
Kwame leaves reluctantly. Samrah starts to stack empty potato buckets. She climbs up, but can't reach the trap doors. She climbs back down. Cradling her stomach, she looks around the room, doesn't see anything else useful. She sneaks out of the room and hears voices coming from a room with the door slightly ajar. She creeps close and listens.
This is on you. Forget your little fucking friends. Ending your non-viable pregnancy was the answer to your prayers. Yes?
Scene 22. Internal. Department of Health and Economics, dining hall. Day. Sylvia is mid-speech on stage.
We are not looking for a society that is perfect, but this is a question of strength, of health, of humanity.
Audience applaud, lapping at her. Scene 23. Internal. Department of Health and Economics, food cellar. Day. We see Samrah start to head back to the potato cellar, but she hears a slap. That pulls her interest back. She watches, sees representative talking aggressively to decoy disabled woman.
Enough. Don't test us. Play nice, and your family's clear. You tell them it was the right choice. Got it?
Got it.
The woman looks broken. Samrah is disgusted. Scene 24. Internal. Department of Health and Economics, corridors. Day. Decoy disabled woman is wheeled into the event. Samrah has followed and watches at a distance. She hears Sylvia over a speaker in the corridor. We see Samrah's anger build.
We have allowed millions to be born with physical pain that they must endure their entire lives. Born with malformations that overwhelm them. These troubled people struggle, a strain on the individual and on the economy. It is our duty to relieve their suffering and prevent this from continuing. But do not take it from me. Let us hear from someone who has really been there.
Samrah sees a TV with live feed of decoy disabled woman's speech as she is trying to seem genuine.
I'm eternally grateful to you for the opportunity to end my non-viable pregnancy. Please keep going. Help us rid the world of troubles.
We see this strike Samrah. Disabled woman's speech continues. We don't hear it. Samrah, broken, talks to her bump.
I'm so sorry, my baby. I love you so much. I'll love you forever, but this is so much more than me and you, baby. I'm sorry.
Samrah, fizzing with electric energy, bursts through the doors to the dining room, all eyes firmly on her.